What's up, everyone? My name is Borra-mon, and we are back for another theory video in ReZero. So this week it's on episode 6 and 7, because I am still very bad about my upload schedule. This was actually supposed to come out yesterday, but well, you know me, I'm really bad at this. Um, but starting next week, definitely I'm gonna have it on Monday. My tomorrow is going to have the stuff that's supposed to come out Wednesday come out, and so also with Friday's gonna have what's supposed to come out Friday come out, and then Monday, and then starting back on the schedule. I just sorry about the lack of structure to when I post these videos, but I'm trying. It's a learning experience. But we are going to do our third theory video for ReZero today. So it's on episode 6 and 7, as I said, and let's go over first, what I've talked about in the previous episodes and how those theories have either not panned out or changed, and then a couple of new theories that have come to light because of the recent episodes. So let's start off with the first theory that really changed. My theory on Subaru's power, that has changed drastically. Beforehand, my theory was that his power came from some sort of dark time spirit, and I was fucking right. I was fucking right about the about my some of the evidence I drew from it being a dark thing, like not a happy, not like a good spirit or anything, was from the intro, right? And how he's standing this scene of darkness, everyone else is in the light, and the hand, when he tries to go to them, the hand reaches out, grabs him, and pulls him back and kills him and all that good stuff. I was right about that because we saw in episode 7 that this hand happened, and it went down and grabbed his heart and everything when he tried to tell Amelia about his time jump ability, his time loop ability. Right. So I was correct in drawing inspiration from the intro about the nature of his abilities. I was, however, wrong about it being somewhat wrong about it being a time sphere. Right now, nothing's been confirmed yet at all, right? About the only part of my theory that really kind of paid out is the fact that I drew inspiration from the intro, because the little dark hand coming in episode 7. Nothing's panned out on that. I'm just revising my theory because new information has come to light that makes me think differently from how I did before. Instead of it being a time spirit, I think it's related to the Witch of Jealousy, and and this so-called clan, like the Witch Clan or whatever. That supposedly, that I guess surrounds this Witch of Jealousy, because in episode, I don't know if it really came till I think in episode 7, between what Rem, I think that's the blue-haired one, it's either Rem or Ran, I forget which one's which, but the blue-haired maid said about the stench of the witch being on him, as well as Patrice saying that the stench of the witch is all is around him, right? He stinks of the Witch of Jealousy, and by association, then the clan of the witch, right? So it seems like this stench increases each time he goes back, right? Because the save point, right, is after he's woken up once, right? Which is why Patrice has already met him and everything, and she last theory video I was unsure whether or not she could remember him from different loops. Not the case. It's just that his save point is after he woke up once, found Patrice, and then she knocked him out, and then he woke up again, if you remember from episode 4. So that save point is after that, right? So she says that he stinks even more like the clan, like the witch and everything. So that is what makes me think that it's related to his time loop ability, because it seems like the stench increases each time it happens. So now my theory is that, this is another little thing about that, with the dark hand coming in and stopping him from telling anyone. She's called the Witch of Jealousy, right? Which obviously she's called the Witch of Jealousy. Sure, her personality is probably somewhat jealous. I don't think that's too far of a stretch to go. That her personality is somewhat jealous, right? So that him not being able to tell anyone, that hand coming and stopping him from telling anyone about his time loop ability, might be her being jealous. It's like, if he tells anyone, then they're also involved in his situation, and she doesn't have him all to herself, kind of thing. It's kind of like, so it's like a jealous thing. So like he can't tell anyone about that. That's the witch of jealousy in Subaru's thing. Right now, this is just all theory. Nothing's been confirmed yet. But yeah, so my theory is now that Subaru's time loop ability is related to the witch of jealousy, due to the fact that he has the stench of the witch on him, and it seems that each time he goes through another loop, the stench it becomes, he stinks even more like the witch, right? Like the clan of the witch, and everything. So that is a revision of that theory. I'm also slightly so now to the next one. I'm slightly going to revise my theory on the twin maids, right? They're not demons. I think they're actually ogres, because of Subaru's when Subaru told the tale of the red and blue Oni, ogre. They're kind of similar, similar things. They're basically kind of the same thing. Ogre's just a different way of saying Oni, and Oni's just a different way of saying ogre. But they can also, but Onis and ogres are sometimes called demons, which makes sense that the blue-haired maid would react to demon. But this time he was telling the tale of the blue and red Oni to the pink-haired one, and she reacted similarly to how the blue-haired one reacted to that one. And after thinking about it, it makes more sense that it wouldn't make as much sense that if they were just demons for them to react to Oni, but it would make sense for them if they were Oni to also react to demon. So I'm revising it that they are actually Oni, ogres, or however the hell you want to say it, but they're actually Onis. And that they are, and I still hold true that they are one of the obstacles that Subaru has to overcome this loop, but they're not the only one. We find out that at the end of episode 6, that the blue-haired maid is the one coming after Subaru this time around, because he smells like the witch and everything. I have a small thing about that. I don't think she's the one that took him out the second time. I think that was the pink-haired one, because he got really close to the blue-haired one that time around, whereas this time around he seems like he got closer to the pink-haired one, and that's why the blue one came after him, right? So basically, whichever one he doesn't get close to this loop is the one who's going to try and take him out, is going to try and kill him. But they're not the only obstacle, because I don't think they're what killed him the first time. They're not the shaman. Because if you remember at the end of episode 7, near the end of episode 7, the blue-haired maid is dead. She died in her sleep, similarly to how how Subaru believes he died the first time, before he went back in the loop and everything. He died. He went peacefully in sleep, which means that the maids are not the shaman, right? Because we found out from Beatrice in episode 6 that in order for him to pass, like that, it's like a curse, and that's the shaman's area. That's the shaman's area of expertise. So we have 2 obstacles to overcome this time around. So after they've somehow dealt with the shaman, Subaru has to find a way I guess the best way would be to befriend both the maids, and then so that neither one of them is going to try and kill them, because that's kind of what happened the first time around. He kind of didn't focus on one particular maid. He kind of got along with both of them. And it's unsure if they both would have ended up coming after him or not, if the shaman hadn't gotten to him. But definitely not focusing on one of the maids is probably the smarter idea. Because then the other one's kind of feeling like he's somehow deceiving the maid. Because it seems like they have a history with the Witch of Jealousy, or the clan of the witches and everything. So, focusing on one might make the other one, without like investing enough trust, getting the other one to trust him enough, makes it seem like he might be, makes her think it's like, oh, he might be deceiving my sister. He smells of the witch. She's just going to get hurt again. Because I don't think that just like the pink-haired one got hurt by the witch. I think both of them probably got hurt by the witch. Which is why I think that whichever one he doesn't get close to is the one that killed him in a particular loop. So that's kind of my revision of my theory of the maids. They're actually Oni, instead of just demon sisters. They're Oni sisters. It kind of makes sense with the whole blue and red kind of Oni deal. The blue hair, pink hair is kind of reddish. So blue, red Oni it makes the correlations there. And they are still an obstacle, but they're not the main. You're not the only obstacle to overcome this particular loop. That they're only half of the equation. He's got to find some way to make it so that neither one of the maids want to come kill him, and also ensure that the shaman does not strike. That the shaman is the other obstacle to overcome. That he doesn't either kill him or the maid, right? Because in 2 different loops, Subaru was the one that got killed, and then the second one, and then the fourth one, I think that was the 4th time around. The maid, one of the maids got killed. And I think the reason one of the maids got killed instead of him is because he was in the library, and so the shaman just went for the next target, I suppose, which would be one of the maids, I guess. So that's the revision of that theory. No, I don't think. Now, I had a theory last time on Roswald being one of the antagonists. I don't think so. I don't think he is in any way related to this, because the shaman because this shaman character seems to be like an outside force. Now, it's possible. Now, it'd be possible if the shaman had not taken out the maid this time around, that Roswell was like a shaman type character, that, you know, he may have some hidden shaman abilities, and he's the one who took out Subaru the first time. Because if you remember from the first loop, he was talking to the pink-haired one about how they can't just sit back, you know, and do nothing about Subaru because, you know, they don't trust him yet, right? But since, you know, the shaman took out the maid the second time, the shaman, you know, kind of was relevant. The 4th loop, I don't think Roswald is related in any sort to the shaman. I don't think he is being particularly antagonistic at all this time around. He certainly still doesn't completely trust Subaru, and I still don't completely trust Roswald as well. I still have not gotten a good read on him as a character. We just haven't gotten to know him really well in the loops or anything like that. So I still think. So it's still possible that in the future he might have some sort of antagonistic value. He might become sort of antagonistic character. But this time around, I don't think he is an obstacle to overcome, unless new information comes to light when Subaru comes through again. Goes through the loop again. Of course, I think either this time or the next time, he'll probably succeed, right? Because he had this, you know, whole anime moment at the end where he's like, I finally realized what I have to do, so I'm going to spat off a bunch of words that make no fucking sense and then do something, right? So he had that moment, which means that he'll either succeed this next time around, or he'll finally figure out what he has to do next time around, like, for sure. It's like he figures out all the information. He still fails, but he knows what he has to do for the next go around, and then he actually succeeds the next go around. So I think one of the next 2 rounds he'll probably succeed. So I don't think. So because I think we're so close to the end of this particular loop, and because the maids seemed more of a personal vendetta for the maids, and because the shaman took out the maid on the 4th loop, instead, I don't think that Roswell's related to the shaman, and I don't think he incited the maids either, because it seemed more like a personal thing than something that Roswell would have them do. So I don't think he's an antagonist this time around. So that's kind of out the window. It's kind of a theory that kind of didn't pan out. I was kind of correct about my theory on Beatrice and the fairy tale book being a source of information. In terms of the fairy tale book, I was wrong that the fairy tale book would provide us with a tale that would relate to the maids and their position as an obstacle this time around. I was wrong about that. That actually came from Subaru. Subaru told the Japanese tale of the red and blue Oni, and that's what's related to the maids and their and them kind of being an obstacle this time around. So that's kind of like, I was kind of wrong about that. We didn't get the tale from the fairy tale book, but from Subaru. But we did get some information from Beatrice in terms of him smelling like the witch and everything. So I still think that she's going to continue to be a good source of information. And we did get some information about from the fairy tale book. You know, there were 2 tales that Subaru expressed interest in. And of course, there was the one at the end about the witch and everything. And of course, We didn't get any information about that tail, just that Subaru expressed interest in the tail. So there's nothing. So there's no way for us to make any theories concerning the witch about whether or not she has any abilities that are related to Subaru's time loop ability, or whether or not she's related to Emilia, because that was another theory I had, that the Witch of Jealousy was related to Emilia. I'm going to hold off determining whether or not that's panned out or not. I definitely think that she has a connection to Subaru, but we still don't have enough information to determine whether or not she's really related to Emilia or not. I still think there's some connection, whether or not, some connection, but not. There's not enough information to really determine if that theory panned out or not. So we didn't. So there was a tale of the witch in the fairy tale book. We didn't get any actual information from the tale because we got to keep people in suspense and everything. We can't reveal that information yet. It's got to be kind of a cliffhanger. Which, for people who want all the information, like me, it's kind of like, but it makes sense as a storyteller, to withhold that kind of information if it's going to be crucial, extremely crucial to the central plot and everything. But the other tale was about a dragon, right? So this was and this is related to the royal family, right? Which the royal family is related to the insignia, so that kind of plays into a previous theory about the insignia and everything. It's just proof of candidacy for the throne, but the throne obviously means something because it's related to the dragon, because the royal family had a contract with the dragon, and they've died out abruptly. So the dragon, I think, is going to play a definite role in selecting the candidate for the throne, right? As we get more information about the who get about the candidacy for the throne and everything, we meet more candidates, we get more information. There's this contract that the dragon had with the royal family, but they're died out now. Now basically the only one who knows, the only person thing in the world that knows anything about this contract is the dragon himself. So only the dragon knows what the dragon's going to do, right? So as we get further into that kind of plot line about the candidacy for the throne, since Emilia is a candidate for the throne, and I think that Reinhardt is also a candidate for the throne, and Felt might become a candidate for the throne, which, quick side note, no real change in my Felt theory or anything like that this week as well, because we still haven't gotten any information on them. I think we probably won't until the next loop, the next go around. So once Subaru has cleared this loop, I think the next loop will probably reintroduce us to Reinhardt and Felt and kind of update us on their situation, and the ominous words that Reinhardt spoke at the end of episode 3 and everything. But yeah, so the dragon has a contract with the royal family. Emilia's a candidate for the royal throne. So once that plot line develops more, we'll probably get more information on the dragon and his contract and everything. Whether or not the dragon might be sort of an antagonistic position, or maybe he's just kind of a force in that kind of like force of nature position. He's neither good or bad, but he's just like this all powerful being that is kind of like presiding over this over the conflict that will probably ensue because of his contract with the royal family. So there might be some sort of other antagonistic figure, and the dragon is just kind of like a third party, is what I'm getting at. Or he might be in the antagonistic position because of his contract with the royal family and the fact that are all dead now. He might need to approve of who's going to be the candidate for the throne, or and they're depending on whatever his contract is with the royal family, because this person, whoever is going to be the next ruler of this land, the dragon's kingdom of Lusunia, I think is what Subaru said, is going to probably inherit that contract with the dragon. So the dragon's more related to our candidacy for the throne plot line. So I think it makes more sense that the insignia is not really related to the Witch Jealousy. It's more related to the dragon, right? And that whole plot line. So it seems like we have like a few kind of different like plot lines. There's the obvious plot line of Subaru and his time loop ability, and there's also this candidacy for the throne kind of plot line, and they kind of have two main figures involved with it. The Witch of Jealousy which I now believe is related to Subaru's power and everything. So that's kind of related to that plot line. And then you have the dragon, which is related to the candidacy for the throne kind of plot line and everything. So that's kind of like where we're going with that. And also, there's also no real change for my theory on that we're gonna meet candidates for the throne in the future. I definitely think that's gonna happen. It might even happen next loop, right? So yeah, that kind of is the update on my theories and everything. How they've changed and how, like the one on Roswell didn't pan out or anything, and then like a couple changed. Like my theory on Subaru's power, the twin maids theory, and the theory on the Patrice and Fairy Tale book being information. Kind of that all that kind of changed around a little bit, and then like the Roswell one didn't pan out, and then there was just a few that didn't really have any changes. Like my felt theory didn't really have any changes, nor the candidates for the throne, because it wasn't really much of a theory in the first place. But we haven't, obviously they're not relevant this particular loop, so that won't really have pan out, really have any pan out or not until later. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with that. I can't remember because I think I kind of covered most of what I wanted to talk about when I was updating theories, because the theory of Subaru's power relating to the Witch of Jealousy, that is in line with new information we got. Same thing with the dragon being related to the candidacy for the throne, that's also in line with new information we got. And the twin maids, that's also in line with what they with new information we got about them being Oni, that they're not the only obstacle. The shaman is somehow related. That the shaman is the other obstacle he has to overcome. So I think I covered every theory. There wasn't really a new fully new theory to cover this week, as opposed to just there being updates to current theories, since they're still in our current loop, our current arc and everything. Alright, so how about this? One final theory to end off this video, and it's going to be the theory on how Subaru solves this particular loop. I think he needs to, first things first, in order to overcome the maid obstacle, he needs to befriend both of them equally. He needs to gain their trust equally, right? He needs to either do what he did, because like the first and fourth time, the fourth time he didn't involve with them at all, but like the first time he kind of like he kind of had like the same level of exposure to both of them, so he kind of gained, he didn't really like gain like a super amount of their trust, but he didn't like gain one over the other, and so and the other one started feeling like he's deceiving her sister or something like that. So preferably what he needs to do is he needs to befriend them both equally at the same level he befriended one of them in the second and third route. He just needs to do both of them this time, right? So he still has that, so he still like gets to be real buddy with them, but it's, instead of just being one, it's both of them. And so that will probably help solve the particular obstacle of the maids, right? He just involves himself with both of them. Now, in order to deal with the shaman, because the first and fourth time when he didn't befriend one maid over the other, the shaman came into play, right? So in order to overcome that, I think he needs to involve Roswell, the Lord. He's the Lord of the Mansion and everything, or Patrice, right? Or both of them, preferably, and just warn them that there's a shaman coming, or that will attack on this night, and we need to be ready for that. Unfortunately, won't really be able to tell them where he got the information from, but he's just going to have to try and hope that they can trust his information. If it pans out, if the shaman shows up and everything, and they manage to succeed and beat the shaman and everything, and he's overcome this particular loop, that source of information will be credible. I mean, he'll have to basically explain that, he'll have to come up with some sort of excuse or something for why he got the information afterwards, but, or even beforehand, it's like, hey, this is why I even met Emilia in the first place, is because I heard that there was a threat coming this way, and I wanted to warn you. I wanted to warn her, and I wanted to warn you guys too. And just, try and present himself as an ally as much as possible, and involve them to help defeat the shaman threat, right? And then to solve the maid threat, just befriend them both equally, right? Gain the trust equally, so that one maid is not jealous, jealous or like, worried that he's deceiving her sister or something like that. So that is my my theory on how Subaru needs to beat this loop, and we'll see whether or not that pans out next time, or if he doesn't solve the loop next episode, the next go round after that, because I think he's going to solve it within the first or second, either next time or the time after that. All right, so to summarize, my theory on Subaru's power got updated. I think the Witch of Jealousy is involved. My theory on the maids got updated. They're not the only obstacle to overcome this time around, and instead of them both being demon sisters, they're Oni sisters. So just kind of like a slight change in their, what I thought they were. And then also that the dragon that we got introduced to in episode 6, that he will be related to the candidacy for the throne kind of plot line, because he has a contract with the royal family. And also that the shaman's the other threat that Subaru has to overcome in this particular loop. And then other than that, there was no real change. My Roswell theory didn't pan out, and there's no real change to any of my other theories. But yeah, so that's kind of the summary of what I talked about this episode. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a like and subscribe to see more from me. Leave a comment down below to tell me what you thought about the past 2 episodes, what you think about my theories, and any theories of your own. Come on, I mean, these are theory videos, so theorize it up in the comments. Alrighty, I have been Borra-mon, and I will see you guys later. Alright, so let's get into it. We're here today to talk about Concrete Revolution Season 2. Can't really do a first impression since we're like halfway through the season, because this was going to be a first impressions video, but since we're like halfway through the season, let's make it a first mid-season impressions. That's what we're going to call it. Right, so we're going to talk about Concrete Revolution Season 2. Now, I already did a full review on the first